Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really digging into the UK property market. We've got a whole stack of indices, Halifax, Rightmove, RICS, plus expert forecasts. Our mission, to try and make sense of where things might be heading towards the end of 2025. Now, there's this interesting tension, isn't there? That the general feeling seems to be, all quiet on the property front, kind of subdued. But then you see headlines like Halifax reporting record high house prices. How does that square?
Yeah, that's exactly the puzzle we need to unpack for you. I mean, this quiet atmosphere, it's largely down to stubbornly high inflation. Economists were looking at CPI peaking around 4.0% back in September. The average forecast for Q4 2025 is still sitting at 3.6%. So unless inflation really takes a nosedive, allowing the Bank of England to cut base rates, which directly impacts your mortgage costs, this kind of holding pattern is likely to stick around.
Okay, right. So let's tackle that index contradiction head on. The big picture seems to be stability, but maybe stability at a pretty low ebb compared to inflation. Halifax, as I mentioned, they reported prices up, 0.3% in August? Just a small nudge.
Yeah, very small nudge, pushing the average price to just under £300,000, a new record, technically.
But then you look elsewhere.
Exactly. You connect that dot with others and you start to see the vulnerability. Indices like RICS, eServe, they're suggesting prices are actually softening, or as they put it, sort of drifting lower at the aggregate level. It shows how finely balanced everything is, vulnerable to bad news.
And Rightmove seems to back that up too, doesn't it? Asking prices up slightly month-on-month, 1.4%, but crucially year-on-year, they're actually down 0.1%, so very muted growth indeed.
Yeah, precisely. What this suggests is that the buyers who are active now are probably quite committed. They want to get moved by Christmas. But looking ahead, well, there's definitely uncertainty hanging over things, especially with potential fiscal changes maybe coming in the November budget. That casts a bit of a shadow.
Ah, the budget. That brings us neatly to another really crucial point from the data, the regional picture. It's not one single market out there, is it?
Absolutely not. You really have to look at the regional breakdown to understand what's happening. The divergence is quite stark. So on one hand, you've got places doing pretty well. Think Belfast, Glasgow, Newcastle. They're seeing price growth somewhere between 7 and 12%. Strong numbers.
Wow. Cool.
But then contrast that with areas like Brighton and Hove or Cambridge, Norwich. They're still lagging quite a bit behind their 2022 peaks, down maybe 6 or 7%.
And these rumored tax changes, we mentioned the speculation around property taxes. Presumably that adds pressure specifically to those lagging areas, pouring fuel on the fire maybe?
Well, potentially. The talk is mostly around changes that would impact homes valued over £500,000. Now, nationally, that's about a third of homes currently for sale. But, and this is important for you listening, the impact varies hugely by region. In London, for instance, nearly 60%, 59% to be exact, of sales agreed this year were over that £500,000 mark. So any changes there would hit London's liquidity much harder.
Right. So that explains why the overall annual price dip nationally is actually being driven by London and the South. It's not a UK-wide fall, but a vulnerability concentrated there. And the data backs this up. More stock, slower sales.
It does. The number of homes listed for sale in the South is up 9% compared to last year. Elsewhere, it's only up 2%. And on average, it's taking about 5 days longer to find a buyer in those southern regions.
Okay, so more choice for buyers down south.
Definitely. But there is a sort of silver lining in terms of activity levels overall. Across Great Britain, the actual number of sales being agreed is still running 4% ahead of this time last year. So deals are happening. But yes, with stock levels up 10% compared to 2024, buyers do have more choice and consequently more bargaining power, more leverage.
Okay, so let's try and pull this together for everyone listening.
Yeah.
What are the key takeaways? It feels like the market is very finely balanced right now. You've got committed buyers making deals happen. But underneath, there's this significant vulnerability, especially to potential government policy changes. And that risk seems heavily concentrated in London and the Southeast.
That sums it up well. And maybe a final thought for you to mull over. We know from Zoopla's data that properties needing a price cut take much longer to sell, about 2.4 times longer, actually. So given those higher stock levels, particularly in the South where these tax changes are being speculated about, how might that increased supply and potential tax impact really shift buyer leverage and put downward pressure on prices in those specific areas over the next few months?
Interesting point. Something to definitely keep an eye on.